Alright, I talked about one character that pisses me off, time for the other one. Hello everybody, Twatters here, and today's video is about Two Time. This is a story of how Forsaken's most useless character turned into the best S tier the game has ever seen. Two Time is a stealth-based melee sentinel that rewards you for careful positioning and precise timing. Two Time can stab the killer for 3.5 seconds of stun if he lands his knife on the back of the killer. If he lands on the front, he barely gets any reward and is now at risk of getting killed. Two Time also heals health when he stabs the killer, depending on where his knife landed. Because of this, his max HP is only 80 and he gets access to a second life that only has 40 health. The second life is accessed by either landing 3 front stabs or 2 back stabs. Before Two Time was a sentinel, he used to be a survivalist. He didn't have any abilities and his only passive was to revive one time after taking fatal damage. He would lose half of his full health and gain 12 seconds of weakness and 6 seconds of speed 2. After that, he would just be a useless character. In Last Man Standing, Two Time revives instantly and his health is set to 110, losing the ability to get to the second life. However, he also heals 50 health on top of it. Due to him not having any abilities, he was a horrible character for teamwork. He didn't have any tools of bringing the killer's attention over to him. The only strategy that worked was rage baiting, and I believe that works on basically every single other character. You can only rage bait the killer simply because Two Time cannot fight back in any way. On April 24th, Two Time rework released, and it changed how he plays into what we know today. Since then, Two Time was nerfed pretty heavily. On release, Two Time used to stun for 4 seconds, he used to get oblation from minions, and his helpless was 2 seconds regardless of how many Two Times were in the game. Eventually he was nerfed to the state he has today, but I still don't think that's enough. Just as my previous video with 1x, I still have counter arguments on why Two Time should be nerfed. Two Time right now is the best character in the game simply because of ping. This is a ping-based sentinel. Now, you would argue that this isn't really ping dependent, but we'll get to that later. First of all, I'm gonna talk about how Two Time is supposed to be played, and to that I have no real arguments. We know that Two Time is a stealth character, so he has crouch to increase his dash and to become undetectable and slightly transparent. I have no counter arguments to him saving a teammate by being stealthy. I actually think it's a good thing. I really like his playstyle, I really like how you have to position yourself correctly, how he's a lot different from every other sentinel. But another problem is when Two Time is the target. Then the main problem starts. Two Time's backstab is really broken. It's really counterintuitive, it's really not understandable on how exactly it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But most of the time when you get backstabbed by Two Time, it feels like he just slammed into you and it's somehow registered in the back. Most of Two Time mains use Trickstabs. Trickstabs is a turn coming from Team Fortress 2, I believe, that it just means that you trick the opponent to showing you their back. There are a lot of combinations of how you can execute this trick, but in Forsaken there are mostly two. First is the S strategy. Basically, when the killer runs directly at you, you can run backwards and stab in front of the killer. Because of how Roblox's ping works, this strategy is really good. It doesn't work on low ping killers, and it doesn't work if the killer, for whatever reason, isn't completely close to you. It's really ping dependent and sometimes unreliable. The second thing is the corner stab. You stand near a corner and wait for the killer to come so you can dash around the corner and stab them in the back. Two of these tricks are basically never predictable, especially S1, because it can happen at any given moment. But the problem lies with the stab itself. I don't mind being stunned, okay, I understand. But the problem is that 2-time does not get punished that really. It's the same as 1x in my previous video. So when 2-time misses his stab, he only gets just a couple of seconds, just a couple of frames, I would even say. A couple of moments of where he's vulnerable. His end lag is lower than every other sentinel. Gast has 1 second of slowness after missing his block. Shedletsky has about maybe half a second to a full second of slowness after missing. Chance has about 1.5 seconds of slowness because he is far ranged. 2-time on the other hand heals from his stun that I would argue is pretty easy to land, and he doesn't get punished on missing. I like the idea of if you do a front stab, you only give him 1 second of helpless, so it's basically the same value as Gast's charge, meaning you can get hit immediately after it. I really like that idea, but the backstab is just ridiculous. I really like that they nerfed the dash stab, so he has more end lag, and I sometimes get punished if I land a front stab with the dash stab, and because the killers recover faster than I do. But the normal stab is what mostly used in trick stabbing. And it's really annoying because not only does he heal from that, not only does he get a second life from that, not only is the stun pretty long, like it's 3.25 seconds only behind Gast's punch and Gast's parry and Chance's gun, but also he heals from that. It's fast, it's unreactable because it's instant, it heals him, and it also gives additional benefits. So why has developers not done anything with it? I have no clue. I'm gonna straight up, I have no clue why this guy hasn't been nerfed to the ground yet. This just combination of everything makes 2-time especially painful if you're facing a good 2-time player. 2-time can really just solo the killer using the resources they have. And what I noticed is that 2-time has the same problem as Gast. It's that new players pick 2-time or Gast and they do not know how to play with him efficiently. So they casually just mess around and die quickly, which is maybe the reason why developers don't nerf 2-time, because most of the players just don't know how to use him. But you gotta realize that the moment a player starts abusing 2-time, it is basically over. You are not catching him. 2-time is difficult, yes, I agree, but another problem is, again, just as 1x, he is too rewarding. In my community tier list video, I made an analogy that Gast is good because his low cooldowns, but he also has to read the killer. Reading the killer is considerably harder than killers reading sentinels, like Shedletsky. If we take Shedletsky as an example, killers have to read of when he's going to slash to react accordingly. Maybe put 404 error, or let's say raging pace or something like that. Maybe just dodge. But with 2-time, killers have to read 2-time, not the other way around. And that's what made Gast somewhat balanced. Right now he's thought of like the best sentinel in the entire game, but no, it's just simply not true. Gast has less options than 2-time. His stun is a little bit more rewarding, however, it is a lot more difficult to land. 2-time, on the other hand, is pretty easy once you start realizing how this whole ping system abuse works, and you also get rewarded for it. Gast, an example, cannot heal whatsoever, and he's only given 15 additional HP. And if you play 2-time, you basically get another second life, which is already 120 HP, and that's another 20 HP from backstabs, and you can basically just stack those heals on top of each other. There are also other techs like crouching near the killer and then uncrouching, because uncrouching near the killer gives you speed boost for whatever reason. I still don't understand that one. And the smart placement of rituals. Rituals are another different thing. The main problem with 2-time, alongside his very unfair stab, is just his second life. Like, the moment you see a 2-time land a backstab on you, you have to go for him. Otherwise, he has an opportunity to land another stab on you, and later down the game, you will suffer from this. Because every time that 2-time gets 2 backstabs, you realize that they're a good player, because bad players don't land a backstab, or they can just miss their stab at all. However, if you get backstabbed twice, you now realize that you're cooked, because first of all, you're facing the best sentinel in the entire game, and after you kill them, you get to do it again. Now, of course, they have less health, but they also have the stamina advantage, the looping potential, they get their abilities off cooldown, and all of that stuff. In the previous version, in the old Forsaken, you could just leave 2-time on the second life and just leave it at that. In this version, you can still do that, but leaving 2-time for last overall is a pretty questionable idea. Another thing with second life, that you have to kill both of the lives to get the time for it. So if the 2-time just lands 2 backstabs on you, he is now scot-free. You can just mess around with you. You cannot really kill him, because no matter what you do, he's still gonna respawn. So in conclusion, we have a sentinel that rewards you for landing your stun, not only with the stun and like stamina advantage and all of that stuff, but also with health and an additional very powerful tool of a second life. He also has a bunch of last man standing potential, as if you leave him on his first life, which you probably will, he'll get 110 HP. So that's just 5 less than Guest, but unlike Guest, 2-time can heal. And since, you know, he's based around stealth, he can also hide from you pretty easily, which makes him somewhat of a survivalist. I don't know what the devs were thinking when balancing this thing. I guess people just don't really realize how OP 2-time is, but to be honest, I don't meet pro 2-time players that often, so maybe that's why they haven't fixed them yet, but I don't know. So what can we do to actually fix him? Well, I got one solution maybe. Nerf Trickstabbing, and I don't mean as in nerf the hitboxes or whatever, because people eventually will find techs to avoid it. Like, the corner stab is technically just not a ping abuse tech after all, but it just abuses the fact that when you turn around, you can still just, you know, miss and all that other stuff. Like, when you turn around a corner, you can just get stabbed because you need to avoid looping. I propose nerfing the stab. The normal stab gives about like 3.25 seconds of stun, but what I propose is that for the duration of the stun, 2-time gets slowness 1. This way, he's still very reliable at saving teammates, because you can still get stabbed as normal, but now if you do it in Trickstabbing, it's a lot less rewarding. Yes, you still heal from that. Maybe I could tone down the healing, but then the point of 2-time would go away. I could nerf the healing to maybe like 15 health, but then 2-time would be kind of obsolete because he already has only 80 health. I want to leave the dash stab alone, because dash stab requires you to land it in the back, and he already has a bunch of end lag to make it punishable, so I'm gonna leave it at that. However, I am gonna nerf Oblation. Seriously, we need to like nerf Oblation, because just the amount of effort you have to put just to get a second life is, to be honest, a little bit too little. So I'm gonna nerf it to being 2 backstabs and 1 front stab. So now when you land a front stab, he now needs to land 2 backstabs. I mean, otherwise he can land a front stab, a backstab, and then 2 front stabs. By that point, it's already your problem that you haven't gone for 2-time yet. And secondly, I think 6 seconds of speed 2 should be nerfed to slowness 1 for 6 seconds, because you usually have to be far away from the killer when you respawn, so it doesn't really make sense that you get a speed boost. Yes, you can revive right in front of the killer, but let's just say that if the killer is near, you don't get the slowness. I don't really think that these fixes will help that much, and I'm not really a game designer, but you know, an opinion is an opinion, you know. So that's it for this video. Last time my video of 1x got a lot of comments. I really love reading those, like honestly. It got to the point where it's just too much for me to read, but still, don't be shy to post some comments about the 2-time situation. I really just want to see some nerfs to 2-time. I know the developers said that they're cooking up something. but I really hope it doesn't really destroy the identity of Two Time. Two Time is a melee stealth based sentinel.